Back in 2021, I predicted CRO to go to $1, and that prediction was almost pixel perfect. So of course, now I get a lot of questions. What do you think the peak will be in 2025? So guys, I think it's time for a realistic price prediction. So let's get strapped in and let's find out. Before we get started with the charts, I want to make it very clear that this is by no means any financial advice. I personally hold a lot of CRO because I see a lot of bullish catalyst for the token. But of course, guys, this is by no means any Bitcoin or Ethereum, so it's a lot more risky than other assets, so always do your own research. But quickly, what are those bullish fundamentals? CRO or Cronos is the former Crypto.com coin. Officially now, Crypto.com and Cronos are two separate entities, but still there's a very strong tie between the both of them. For example, with their Visa cards. If you buy and stake CRO on the Crypto.com platform, you can get trading discounts, but also Visa cards like this with actual cashback. So guys, there's still a big link between the success of Crypto.com as a company and also the CRO token. Over the past few years, Crypto.com has grown to more than 100 million users on their app and exchange. And if you take a look at the numbers also, in US dollars, Crypto.com is the biggest exchange here in blue, but still it is dwarfed by Binance here regarding total exchange volume. Of course, there also have been some scandals throughout the years regarding Crypto.com, but in general, Crypto.com is growing quite well, and it might even get some more market share of Binance in the future. So the potential really of a token linked to Crypto.com is quite great. Moreover, if you take a look at the track record of other exchange-related tokens, like for example here BNB, you can see that's been setting all-time high after all-time high. But it's not only BNB, it's also here the OKB token linked to the OKX exchange, new all-time high recently. Then we also have here the BitGet token, also recently a new all-time high. What else do we have? We have, for example, the KCS token. KCS by the KuCoin exchange is not yet at an all-time high, but it seems to be going into the right direction. And in 2021, it did set a new all-time high after the all-time high in 2018. So overall, guys, if an exchange is doing well, then also the token linked to it will, of course, thrive. There's also the opposite, though. If you do take a look here at the FTX token linked to the FTX exchange, well, that one went bankrupt, and also the token looks pretty much bankrupt to me. Next to the Crypto.com exchange, we also still have the Cronos chain. And the Cronos chain recently got some big technical upgrades as well. For example, regarding the max speed, but also regarding block time. So now the Cronos chain is a lot more competitive in this day and age. It's not only the chain, we also got an upcoming CRO strategy company. So a true treasury company, like for example, strategy for Bitcoin. And also we do have upcoming ETFs for the CRO token. So in general, there are a lot of bullish catalysts waiting for a big pump, because that pump, ladies and gentlemen, still has to come. CRO is not yet at an all-time high. Let's also think why there is so much potential yet for the CRO token. Because of all the things we just talked about, I do believe that CRO will go to a new all-time high in 2025. But having said that, guys, I do not believe in fairy tales. If some people say to you, well, CRO will go to $25, $100, it simply is not going to happen. We have to stay realistic, because we're talking already about an 8 billion market cap token at the current price of about 25 cents. So guys, without any further ado, let's get started now with the realistic take on the price prediction for 2025. But let me warn you beforehand, we will be peeling down this prediction piece by piece like an onion before we get to the core. So don't forget to stay strapped in till the end. My base case for CRO is that we have moments of overvaluation and undervaluation, and we portray those here in the rainbow chart for CRO. If you're on the green, it's the lowest price possible where you have to accumulate, and in the red, typically, it is the bubble territory where you have to sell. So my overall take, ladies and gentlemen, is that basically in this cycle, we're going to see the red again, like what we have seen in 2021. And if you want to learn more about the rainbow chart, check out this video in the top right. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, the red zone has a lower limit and an upper limit as well. The lower limit in 2025 will be at about $1.20. So $1.20 as the lower limit. Then we also do have the upper limit though. And the upper limit in 2025 will be at around $4, give or take. So we have a target in between $1.20 and $4. So that's the first layer really of our onion. Anyways, what's good to realize though is that this is just the second cycle now for CRO. So we don't have much historic data to work with. But luckily we do have Bitcoin that also has its own rainbow chart. And what we have seen throughout the years on the rainbow chart, on the logarithmic rainbow chart as well, is that typically every cycle we go down at least one layer on the rainbow chart. So you might make the argument that we don't keep up going up endlessly, but also here we're going down one layer. But the question then to me is, are we going down to this dotted zone here, or are we going down all the way into the yellow? For the record, by the way, this dotted line between the $4 and the $1.20 is right at about $2.12. So let me add that one as well as one of the targets. So according to the rainbow chart, the peak for CRO will occur between $4 and $1.20. But because $4 might be a bit too bullish this cycle, we're mainly taking a look at $2.12 and $1.20. But maybe there are some other candidates as well. Therefore, let's take a look at the Bitcoin Crow chart now as well. Crow Bitcoin recently completed a bullish W pattern here on the chart. But if you zoom out, you can see that throughout the years, Crow Bitcoin had a really rough time. 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025 have been quite bearish. But we might be getting into a reversal right now. What is interesting though on the Crow Bitcoin chart is that we maybe can draw here a bit of a trend line to predict the top range of Crow Bitcoin in this cycle. So according to this line, Crow Bitcoin will peak at about 0.00008 Bitcoin per Crow. But that is if you do not include the wicks here. If you do include the wicks, we can draw a bit of a different trend as well. So we might have actually two targets here for Crow Bitcoin in this cycle. This one being a bit more bearish and this one being a bit more bullish. And this one would be at about 0.00014 Crow per Bitcoin. But then we have, of course, take a look. What's the prediction really for Bitcoin this cycle? Fortunately, we also have some geniuses working at Wall Street thinking about the exact same question. So what we see here is a wide range of predictions. Barclays saying, for example, 116K at the end of 2025. But also we do see here Bernstein with 200K. On average, though, we do see about 150K for Bitcoin at the end of 2025. And I think that's quite a reasonable prediction. If we use a Bitcoin value of about 150K here for this calculation in US dollars, we can come to also the prediction for CRO here. So here we have 0.00008 Bitcoin per Crow. And if we do that times $150,000, we get to $1.20. Well, we know that one. And the other value is at about 0.00014 Bitcoin per Crow. So if we do that times $150,000, we do get $2.01, basically $2.12 as in all previous predictions. So basically, guys, we know nothing more. Basically, it's saying it will top at about 212 or about 120, as we also saw in the rainbow chart. So at least, guys, the Bitcoin Crow valuation is also really consistent. Another way to approach it is by taking a look at competing tokens in a similar niche, like for example here the Binance coin. And I see many people taking a look here at market cap off. So if you compare the market cap of BNB versus Crow, it would say it would be about $3.72. But honestly, I think currently Binance and BNB is a complete different behemoth. So I think it's hard to really compare it yet to BNB, but of course it might change in the future. I really prefer to test it against, for example, here KCS, the KuCoin token. And the KuCoin token is interesting because it's basically one cycle older than CRO. You can see it set here an all-time high in 2018, but also in 2021. And if you take a look at how much it actually increased and also how much it decreased in the bear market, it is pretty much similar to CRO this cycle. So you can see it went down, give or take 98%. And it sounds like a lot, but guys, CRO also went down a lot in this bear cycle. We can say from about $1 down all the way to 5 cents or 4 cents even, which is about 94%. So it's actually quite comparable to the KCS token. And what you can see that KCS did recover in the end. It took a long time, but it did get there eventually. And how much higher was the eventual peak? Well, you could say peak to peak, it's 35%. But if you take a look at the candle closes, and I prefer to look at candle closes really, you would say here on the weekly, it is about 25% higher cycle on cycle. If we then go back to the CRO chart and add that give or take 25% from the previous peak, we would be going to give or take about $1.20 in this cycle. So this $1.20 target seems very likely if we're going to mimic KCS from the 2018 to 2021 cycle. Another fun fact, by the way, can be found here on the CPI inflation calculator, because of course there's been quite a high inflation environment since 2021, and our previous peak was at about $1. But if we then calculate the actual value, $1 will be now worth about $1.19. So give or take $1.20. So even though, guys, we go to $1.20 in spending power, that $1 would be about the same. So that's also another reason, I think, why we might be going towards $1.20, because it wouldn't be that similar or dissimilar to the previous $1 peak. If we then add up all the different arguments, I do believe that $1.20 is a realistic target for CRO in this cycle. It might be a bit lower than you might have been hoping for, but I'm not here to sell you dreams. But that doesn't mean, though, that I'm selling all my CRO at $1.20, because there might still always be that one more thing. My base case for CRO is that it will keep continue losing against its Bitcoin value. And not only Bitcoin does that, guys. For example, also Ethereum has been going lower throughout the years against Bitcoin. But not all altcoins lose against Bitcoin. For example, BNB has been winning against Bitcoin. So maybe CRO is like BNB, and maybe CRO is going to surpass all these targets that we have previously set. If something crazy is going to happen, a crazy announcement, a crazy buyback or burn announcement, things like that can happen. And of course, all these targets that we've been talking about can go out the window. In that case, and in that case only, I think we should be looking towards, for example, this $4 target here for CRO in this cycle. And that's why, guys, I recommend to keep on to Moonbag, but that's no financial advice, of course. No matter what the exact price will be, ladies and gentlemen, at this price point at about 25 cents, I do see at least a 5x for CRO in this cycle. And I don't expect Bitcoin to do a 5x, Ethereum to do a 5x, and also a lot of other top 20 tokens won't do a 5x in this cycle. So the potential is honestly real for this token. Let me know though, guys, in the comments down below, what do you think about my argumentation? Do you have similar price targets or do you have different price targets? Let me know in the comments down below. And guys, if you want to trade CRO, always use a good exchange, like for example, crypto.com, because that one has good fees as well. Use the exchange, guys, with a referral link in the description down below. That will definitely help you as well as me and the channel. Having said that, guys, also don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more CRO or crypto.com related content. And then I will see you in the next video, like for example, this one here to the right of me.